Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this next episode of In the Dirt with ASOTU. And we got a special guest in the house today who is Erica Bruno Martin, who has a lot of huge accomplishments in her life, and recently she's made a very cool transition to global SUV for the head of marketing, brand engagement, and like a ton of other great things. So Erica, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I know, it's so cool, like, officially meet you. I know we were just like laughing about this, but like being able to meet you and talk with you and learn more about you, like that's just one of the passions I have in life. And it's so cool to like meet someone as inspiring as you. You might not feel like you're inspiring, but I kid you not, even just going back to like your acceptance speech from WOCAN. So for those who don't know, you were the member of the year for WOCAN, the Woman of Color of Automotive Network. Yeah. And it's cool to see that and to see what that means to people. So like real quick, like let's recap that real fast before we get into it. So Erica, you won that award. How cool was that?
It was, first off, I was a little like angry with, some of the WOCAN ladies because like they kept it a secret. Like I had no idea.
It was a huge secret. Oh my gosh.
So like I'm sitting there and like, it was so funny because so Mabel and I co-chair the member experience and committee events committee. And so I'm like sitting there and they're starting to name off the things and I'm like, it's starting to sink in.
You're like connecting the dots in your head. You're like, huh.
I was like, wait a minute. This is either like me or her. And as soon as they said like one thing, I was like, oh, this is me. Because I was about to go and look at her. And I'm so glad that I didn't because I told her after, I was like, Mabel, if I looked at you, I would have started crying even more. Like I couldn't. But
it only took until you got up on stage to cry, right?
Well, I mean, no, but like, Simmons just
it's a big deal, Erica, though. Like, and seriously, I know I've told you this before, but the fact that this means so much to people, Woman of Color Automotive Network, is that people, when you're in that kind of situation, that community, you look around and you see people who are like you, and you feel like you're a part of a community. And I'll let you speak more to that here in a second. But like the way that means so much to me is that women in automotive is such a huge underserved community right now. Mm-hmm. And there are so many strong leaders that are women that unfortunately leave the industry. Yeah. And the industry is lesser because of that. So because of the initiatives that you guys are working on, and you're getting mentors involved and people that are just starting out in automotive, and you're making those great connections and you're building that together so that for the future, we don't lose those great leaders. Yeah. And again, like I know I've shared this with you, but like one day, my daughter who's 4 right now is going to grow up and look at automotive. Yeah, well, thank you. She's going to grow up and look at automotive and be like, man, I want to be a part of that. And it's because of what you guys are creating. And like, that's my story, which is different than your story. But like, it's so cool to see that. And it's so cool to like look up to you and see what you guys are building. So thank you so much for doing that, Erica.
No, thank you. And like, I know I said it in my acceptance speech, but exactly like you said, I've seen so many brilliant women, and especially women of color who have defected from this industry because simply someone said, hey, you can't do this, or you're not qualified, or your hair isn't professional. I can't tell you how many times I got that comment, and I just, it's not right, and it's not okay, and it's something that, we need to have that safe space. Like literally Ellie looked at me at one point, was like, is this different? Is this different? Do you feel safe? And I was like, yes, yes, I do. But it was literally such a great experience too, to just be like, I'm not alone. Like, before we ever connected, like I started to get a little bit of a LinkedIn following simply because like I started sharing pieces of my story and sharing pieces of, things I've gone through, and mainly because I don't want people to feel alone. I feel like, especially in our world, and, even with the mental health crisis we have going on in our country, like people feel so alone. So if I can say, hey, you're not alone. I've had similar, I've recovered from it, even though there were times that maybe I felt like I wasn't going to, like you'll get through it, and you got to find your people. And that's really what WOCAN has been for me. And I'm really, really proud to be a part of it. And I'm really proud to see the momentum that it's, getting. And I can't wait for the future with it, honestly.
Man, I can't wait for the future either, just because I'm so excited about the present. And I know that maybe you guys are like, for me, I feel like you guys are operating up here, but maybe you think that you're like right here, and there's so many more steps that you guys are excited for. So huge props to you guys for getting to where you're at. And just like you said, it's lonely when, like, even just being a woman in automotive, And let's
Yeah.
talk about like the easy way that women get involved in automotive. Let's say on the variable side for a sales floor.
Yeah.
If there's a sales team out there at the average size dealership, they probably only have 1 or 2 females on their staff. And it's even
Yep.
more uncommon that they're involved in management. And
Yep.
from my experience at the dealership, so I've been at I've had 10 years in automotive retail, and most recently I spent time in marketing at a dealer
Yeah.
group. And you look at the leaders, the management that's involved, and there's 37 managers that were involved in the weekly meetings, and 0 of them were women.
Yeah.
And I think that there's this barrier that people think that they can't be a part of that because they're a female, but that's not true at all. And there's so
No.
much more value that comes from that when you get this well-rounded team from different perspectives. And that's not even getting into the minority side of it yet. That's just like the women's side of it, and it's even
Yeah.
worse for minorities.
So, as I shared earlier before we were recording, my grandfather was a dealer. He owned
Yeah.
about 17 different franchises at one point in time. And when he decided to move the business on, he had 2 sons and a daughter, and he goes, I want my daughter to do it. So my mom is actually the 6th female Toyota dealer principal in the nation. And
Wow.
I don't know on the Hyundai side, but I would assume pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's definitely one of those that, that was December 7th, so almost to the 25th anniversary, actually, which is pretty great.
Wow.
Like 1997, right? That's 25 years.
Yeah, that's 25 years. You're right. It doesn't seem like that should be 25 years, but it is.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, wow, I really just dated myself here.
Yeah.
The next thing I was going to say is I was 10, and I remember, that moment of like, wow, this is so cool. And,
Yeah.
when I was that age, like I wanted to be the next, big female dealer principal. And,
For sure.
my mom just had so much adversity, like to the point where derogatory comments made in a meeting, like she's in a meeting and this guy goes, I'm not listening to this. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
it was great to watch because, I'm Italian and Portuguese. She's the Portuguese side. She's a little fiery, which I love.
Yeah.
But
Oh, sure.
she handled it like a boss, and she just taught us like how to handle it like a boss. And I just think, even though at one point in time she didn't want me in this industry, I was very passionate about it. And I said, I'll do it on my own. And I'm really glad that I have, because now I can look back at my career and know that I'm the only one who has done this. I didn't
Yeah.
have help from other people. And I've learned even more than I think her or my grandfather could have ever imagined I could have. And I've done it across the country.
Interesting.
And I love it. And so that's, again, I'm passionate because I have seen that within my life. And I think that this industry is so amazing. And I think there's so much opportunity, not just for women, for minorities, for all of us. And I
Yeah.
think, you've got to share those stories so people know that they're not alone and don't give up too early, because your shining moment might be, and I apologize, you're probably going to see my cats in the background, but
It's a blur, but it's a pretty cat. Look at that.
she's a good girl.
Yeah.
She knows she's pretty. So
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
But I think for me, the big thing that I tell people all the time is like, your shining star moment might be before the worst period of your life, or it might
Sure.
be just after. You have no idea how tomorrow's going to go. So take the chance, take the risk.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And just hold on, because like, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you said it perfect, is that you have to believe in yourself before you can make others believe the same thing. And whether you're a female, whether you're a male, whether you're a minority, maybe you're just the stereotypical, white boy in automotive like I am. Like it works for everybody, is that
Exactly.
you have to believe in yourself, and you have to really sell yourself to yourself before you can sell yourself to others. Whether you're in the sales department, whether you're a technician, whether you're in the parts, or whether maybe you're a body shop technician. And there's so much that comes with that. So what kind of advice would you give to someone that maybe thinks that they're going through a difficult time right now, and they don't believe in what they're doing, and they might think that automotive isn't a good space for them? What kind of advice would you give them, or what kind of advice would you give to yourself 10 years ago?
So my grandfather would always tell me, keep your eye on the end goal. And I
Sure.
have a video of that from him about a year before he passed. And
Yeah.
I'll replay it all the time for myself because
Yeah.
it's so true. Never keep your eye off the end goal because other people might not see your end goal. Other people might want to sabotage your end goal. I've had that
Yeah.
happen, like where all of a sudden it's either jealousy or it's, there's not enough room at the table type situation. Like,
Yeah.
well, if I'm gonna get there, she can't get there.
Yeah.
I am telling you, there's enough seats at the table. The table is long enough, and we can make it longer by helping each other and encouraging each other. And I know it's probably feeling like a dark moment at this point in time, but I
Yeah.
promise you, there's brighter days ahead. You just have to believe in it. And if you have that faith, like I tell people all the time, because people will be like, wow, you're really confident. I'm like, I don't know if I'm confident, more so that I just know who I am. And,
Yeah.
it's taken me a few years to accept who I am, but now I feel
Yeah.
really, really strong in who I am. And
Man, I
that's not a
love that,
bad thing.
Erica. Yeah. No, exactly. So like you know who you are and who you're not. And there's no
Yep,
point in acting like someone that you're not. So one
exactly.
thing that you mentioned that really resonated is that sometimes people think that there's only so many seats at whatever there it is they're trying to do, whether it's they're trying to pitch an idea
Yep,
or maybe it's the management team that they're trying to be a part of. But when we stop viewing life as a zero sum game, and what I mean by zero sum is that if Erica wins, then Jordan loses,
yep,
and we start viewing it as we're actually on like the same team and we can all both win all the time. And I know that sounds stereotypical, but or cliche,
no,
but it's not. Is that
it's not.
everybody can win in so many different ways because there's value that comes from that. And when you start looking at it that way, like it literally changes your life. It's mind blowing.
It not only changes your life, it then allows you to see that, like, I will be the first. I am terrible at math. Like, I am not great at math.
Yeah,
But if
me
I
too.
have someone next
Right
to
there with you.
me who is a math genius, that's
Yeah,
fantastic. I want them on my team because that is a weakness of mine. And I know that.
yeah,
And it allows you to then say, okay, here are my strengths, here are my weaknesses. How can I not only maybe share my strengths with someone else so that way they can realize and hone their craft of their own strengths, but not only that, like my weaknesses don't make me less than either. It just
yeah,
means that those aren't my passions or those aren't my things that I'm going to succeed at. So why don't I get someone else who's really good at that?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, that
yeah.
and that's so many good points. So, also you had a recent transition. So, you were at Experian, now you're at Global SUV, which is really cool that you're a part of like a newer, something that's in the infancy stages, even though they've been
Yeah.
around for 3 or 4 years since the idea and conception. So, what has that transition been like? And also, why would you go through a transition when everything's going so well? And why would you look at that and say, "What is my end goal?"
Yeah. Oh my God, that's such a great question. Because,
Sure.
like, loved Experience, loved the people,
Yeah.
nothing negative. It was just one of those that I had this opportunity and I'm like, I need to take this. Like, I need to. This has always been something of mine that I've always wanted to do. And,
Yeah.
I wasn't a business major, I was a history major with an anthropology degree.
Yeah.
So,
That's what
but
brought you to automotive, right?
yeah, totally.
Yeah, fits.
Um, but I always joke that my anthropology degree, especially which is basically the study of culture, has
Sure.
allowed me to really see how well marketing and also social and brand engagement has
Oh,
grown over
that's
the last
true.
10 to 15 years. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that, is ever evolving, but
Yeah.
that is the future. And so now maybe I learned a lot of it on a personal side, but I can apply that to my career and to my business. And I'm
Yeah.
doing that with Global. And I find that really exciting. And I find it really fun to be able to not only create, a marketing message or a marketing blitz or things of that nature, but also bring people along that are going to be like my content creators. And we want to start, partnering with influencers and brands to
Yeah.
then say, hey, you're a part of this ecosystem we're trying to build. Let us amplify your voice. And I feel like that's even more exciting, especially for someone who might be, like you said, younger or struggling and going, I don't know where I fit in. Hey, you
Yeah.
can make your own lane and we can help you with it. So I was
Yeah.
like, this is totally up my alley. I got to try.
Yeah. But how cool, like, and again, it's not like you're trying to get to the next level with whatever you're doing with Experian. It's like you see this new lane and this new avenue, and you want to pursue that and you want to succeed at that. And I think that's what really makes someone a great leader, is that they're willing to try new things and they're willing to learn, and they're really willing to help get in that lane and take things to the next level. So man, huge props to you for like taking a risk and like leaving that zone of comfort to find something new. So how cool. That's got to be exciting, Erica.
It is. And I've always kind of done that in my career. Like, you know, I was at Toyota and Toyota was great, but then I had an opportunity to get home with Nissan and I learned so much from Nissan, and I was doing great at Nissan. I love Nissan. I still talk to a ton of the people there. And it was a point where I was like, I really want to get to marketing. Could I do that within Nissan? And they were like, probably not for a few years. And then all of a sudden I got approached by Automotive Mastermind. And, you know, I was like, I have this opportunity. I think I just need to try. And I actually saw my old RVP, Mike Holleran from Nissan, while I was at NAMAD. And he comes up to me and he's like, I got to tell you, I'm so proud of you. Like, look at what you have done.
How cool. That is so cool.
Like, Mike, thank you. Like, you know,
that is so cool.
He's the SVP of sales now. Like, he's a bigwig, you know, and I was like, you know, and I love him because he is probably one of the first people who really encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone and, you know, kind of push me towards the sales role, and was like, hey, I think you have what it takes to do this. Try this. And so I think that's the other thing is, especially along your journey, you have to find the people that, again, are going to support you and encourage you and push you along. And then you might encounter some people who are going to try to do the opposite. And you then have to learn, you know, which ones do you follow and which ones do you not follow. So. Yeah.
And that's a great way to look at it. So Erica, I know that like a lot of people are going to want to connect with you. So what's the best way to connect with you? Is it LinkedIn?
I was going to say LinkedIn, or my email is erica@globalsuv.com. And you can,
nice and easy.
message me anytime. Like, I would love to even just talk to people and help people along their journey. I think that's honestly been the best thing for me, has having a resource like that. So.
Yeah. So how cool. And even the perspective you have, I think, is that you look at this great industry and you've gotten so much out of it, and it's your job now to give back what was given to you. So that is 100%. So cool to see. And that is so cool to see that people are living that out and like taking things to the next level. I think you're a huge inspiration to automotive. I know you're going to be a huge inspiration to my daughter when she's of age and wants to look at automotive. So thank you so much for like blazing that trail and making that happen.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, of course. And also, I guess, huge shout out to Ellie Lane for connecting us. Like, that's another great connection out there. That's so cool. Yeah, me too. She's great.
Her so much.
Yeah, she's great. You're great. Huge shout out to her. And man, again, like huge shout out, Erica, for going out there and blazing this trail. And also, thank you so much for coming on today.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been an honor. So.
It's my honor.
Thanks for watching this episode of In the Dirt with ASOTU. If you're new to our channel, make sure and mash that like and subscribe button. Also, check out some of these links for our other great podcasts and content.